appropriate uses for the indoor. Welcome back to my vlog. Today, we will be working on the Circle of Doom. The Circle of Death, Circle of Doom, Circle of Hard, Difficult Circle. That's what we're doing, and it's going to be great. So this is my warm-up, and when I looked at my warm-up, I realized it's about 33 minutes long. So this horse really does. He takes a minute. And we do a lot of walking. Here I'm just working on my 2-point. Sometimes I'll just walk around for a while in 2-point while he warms up his little body. And I focus on some kind of skill that I feel I am lacking in. Because as you can see, when I sit back on him, that's really how he likes to be ridden. And I have a super open hip angle, but I have found and been told that I believe that is kind of putting me behind the motion when I do a lot of jumping or when I do other stuff. So I am focusing specifically on keeping my hip angle closed. This is just me taking off my sweatshirt and not taking my helmet off first because it was kind of hard to get all my hair up. So I actually got a haircut today for that reason because I was getting sick of all my hair. And yeah, that took like 10 minutes to get that sweatshirt off. So back to walking. And we walk and we walk. And we walk, and I told you this horse takes a lot of warm-up in another vlog, I think. Not a joke. Here I pick him back up, pick up my reins, and I ask him to kind of lift his front end and flex at the pole and walk with a rhythm. And he's such a little couch. It's really hard not to just sit back on him and be like, go. And then here we're just getting in some trot work, and then I did a little bit of 2-point, so I was like, go where you want. And he was like, I want to go to the camera. And I was like, don't do that. And he really just wants to get out of the indoor. He doesn't love working in the indoor. I mean, he likes it when there's something to do, like pole work, or you'll see him perk up when he's got something to jump. But overall, it's just not his favorite place to be. So after we did a little bit more warming up, we worked on some serpentines at the trot. And this very first one, you can see he's not a fan of my hands, probably, because upon looking at this video, they're moving up and down a lot and probably kind of irritating for him. So when he does that, I usually just put my leg on, I push him forward. I think my leg's a little stronger to the right, so you can see that he bends better to the right. He loses his rhythm, though. He does like to disengage his high knees, so you got to kind of stay on top of him that way. And then we started, and then my goal here was to get him into that walk transition without him poking his nose out a lot. And that's not because I want him to maintain the best shape in the world at all times. I mean, a good shape is good, I guess, but it's a big part of it is this is him being like, stop trying to be in control. I got this. Don't need your input. And I'm like, no, we're a team. You do need my input. So I'm going to give it to you. And he's like, fine. It does look like he is softening as we go. So it's good. But really where you want to get him soft is through his body. Like the head and neck, they will follow. But what you really want to do is make sure that he's working from his booty and he's bending around your leg. And Secret's like, well, why would I do that? That's hard. And it is. It's a little bit challenging. It's kind of like when you do yoga and they're like, get your core tight. And you're like, why? That sucks. I hate having my core tight. So here on this part of our serpentine, we did a little bit of leg yielding. So as I went through the center of the ring, I just yielded a little bit into the direction that we were headed, if that makes sense. And this was really good. So I wanted him to stop and not just poke his nose out. Like part of what he likes to do is be like, okay, we're done. And I mean, I tell him, all the time, like, okay, you're all done. And I throw my reins away. So that's what I was trying not to do as much of. And just keep him soft. But yeah, here I was just trying to leg yield him a little bit before we head into the left turn. And he does also have a tendency to anticipate, like, hey, I know where we're going, so I'm just going to, like, take a shortcut. And you kind of have to be like, no, I want you to stay balanced and I want you to stay bent around my leg and keep your rhythm. And he is a little adverse to that, but he came around. And I thought this final serpentine that we did, I think that might have been it. That was the best one, I think, that we had done. So then, after he trotted a bit and did all these serpentines, we took some more walk time and we really just focused on me keeping the rhythm with my hips. My friend Stephanie had a lesson with a dressage trainer who was telling her about that, and I was like, hey, great idea. I'm going to try that at the walk. So I was just trying to keep the walk rhythm with my hips without necessarily having to use leg, without having to do anything like go to the crop or anything like that. I just wanted to see if I could get him to respond from my seat. And we just did a bunch of walk circles. And here, I felt like my hips were somewhat disaligned, so I just stopped because he just kept wanting to cut the corners. So I wanted him to yield off my inside legs. So I just stopped and I kind of tried to reset both legs. So one way to do that, to work your gluteus medius, is to just take both legs off the horse and push them out sideways like I did. And it did help. It realigned my pelvis a little bit and kind of kicked the right muscles into working. So here we're just doing some canter, introductory canter work, I guess. First canter work we did this ride, and he's like, no, thank you. But the goal was to get him to shorten in the corners and lengthen on the rail. And then, of course, for me, I want to work on my leg stability, so I was going for 2-point, but here I'm seeing that it's really just a half seat because I'm sort of sitting a little bit every stride, even though that's not what it felt like, so stuff to work on. And then we ended on a circle just to get him back on his hind leg. And once he felt pretty loose, I was like, okay, we're good. So then we took another walk break after this, I believe. And since we take a pretty solid walk break between everything that we do, I didn't want to make you sit through all that. But this is when we gathered back up, and then we we just warmed up. This is actually still a continuation of our warm-up. We're just getting the canter in place. But essentially, I just do whatever I think he needs to get loose that day. So you just try to keep a really good feel of your horse and where they're stiff and where they're tight. And Secret can get real tight through his neck, so that's part of why I'm kind of insisting on the yielding and on him like bending at the pole. And you can see on the right, he's always a little bit less bendy, a little bit less willing to bend. And there he was like, I don't have to canter. I don't canter anymore. And I thought that was a 2-point, but I see my butt touching the saddle almost every stride. He does shorten a little bit better on the right, so that was good. And then I just tried to kind of get him together and then back to a little bit of a lengthening. And then get him back together in the corners and shorten up. Tight core, sit up, leg on. I don't know if I remembered all of these things at the time, but there we were. That was not a bad lengthening, so I think I get him back pretty well on this corner. Yeah, and it really isn't till the second corner that I feel like he comes back to me. So that'll get shorter, but that's part of first level dressage test 3, is you lengthen and then you shorten. And that's just the sort of thing that it's going to take some time to work on, is getting that lengthening down the side and then just kind of shortening the time frame that it takes him to shorten. So that's all just part of the process. And then that concludes our warm-up. So then we walked again. Secret likes his breaks. If you don't give Secret a break, I think I've said this before. I don't know. I probably said it before, but he gets a little ornery. It's not worth it. Give the man his work break. So here we're just doing a couple of the cross rail just as one fence, just to kind of warm up a little bit. So I think I just did this twice one direction and twice the other direction. Maybe 3 times to this one. I can't remember. But I also was trying to post and get him to land on the correct lead. And this time he did. The first time it didn't really work out as well, but this time it was perfect. I think we just keep going. Yeah, so like I said, not super bendy like I'd like, but he is staying pretty connected. And then we did it to the left. There she blows. And we even got it right the first time, where I sat and posted on the correctly to get him to land the left lead. Very proud of myself. That took me a very long time to learn. And I still get it wrong sometimes. Like right then. And then I think after this, we move into the exercise itself. I think we walked a little bit. But the exercise is the Wheel of Death. He switched leads there, so I was like, that's okay. We'll just call that part of the warm-up and get back into it. So we took a minute, walked down the side, regathered our thoughts, and went to the left. And this one, yeah, he was just super. So my job for this was to just kind of get him to regulate himself, like regulate the canter to get a nice consistent strides throughout this circle. So here's where he really gets it, because you can see the strides are coming a little bit more evenly. He's sitting up a little bit better. He's staying a little bit more in my hands, between my hand and my leg. The only thing I don't love is, and that was a great down transition. The only thing I don't love is that my leg is still swinging a little bit. So I'll keep working on that 2-point, that no stirrup work. I also was doing an exercise where when he's trotting, I was sitting or standing for 2 beats, and that helps you get in rhythm with your horse. And here we did to the right, he was just a little superstar. But he got it. He got it so fast that I was like, oh, well, I don't know how much there is to say. But this is really all about the teamwork, because, and he switched leads there, but that's okay. I mean, whatever. Just get back in there, try again. Never worth it to make a big deal about these things. Just kind of like, okay, start again. But I try to keep my hip angle closed. Probably a little bit more leg to that first one, but that's okay. So here we got it just about right. Adding that leg to keep his hind end coming up and supporting himself, that's the big thing for me. But otherwise, I thought that was pretty good, and he was a good boy, and I was very proud of him, as you can hear. This horse loves to be told he did a great job, so I never hesitate to be like, well done, sir. And he then believes that he's got it all under control and doesn't need me anymore most of the time. And then here, I just took off his tack because he was cool. He wasn't breathing heavy anymore. So one of the things I do when I take off his tack, or if I'm, after I ride, he likes a good scratch one way or the other, especially his neck. But I think I just straight up was giving him a little neck massage. He was all about that life. But then the other thing I do is I run my hands down his back, and I don't get aggressive with palpating his back or anything, but I just touch around to see, if he's got any sore spots, any points where he's not, whatever. I don't know what I'm always looking for, but just touching your horse and kind of getting a feel for how they feel will tell you a lot about them. Eloquently put, Claire. But yeah, so then I just continued to clean up and secret attack the lens.
Does that mean get the camera? It's time to go? Is that what I'm reading off of you, little horse? Do not knock over that camera. Don't do it. Hey, don't do that. You bad pony.
I think that's him telling me he wants to leave. Standing by his saddle. Like, hey, Claire, I'm cool off. You scratched me. We can go anytime.
Dun 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 doo doo doo. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
For the record, I did pick up that poop.
Dun dun dun.
This horse looks very unimpressed with my silliness.
Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun.
Thank you for watching.